Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Rox Burkey on today's show.
Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio. I am so delighted this evening, being Rox Burkey, co-author of the Enigma series, to be able to speak to Brandon Miller. And he's also a co-author as well. Brandon, you and Anna Lynn both wrote Incredible Parents. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Rox.
I want to go through a few things to make sure that the audience knows about you. And I want to start with why did you decide to write this book?
Yeah, it's a great question. Some would say that being parents of 7 children, you're like an automatic qualifier to write a parenting book if they all live through the experience. So we had that box to check, felt pretty good about that. But in reality, I've spent a lot of time speaking in front of audiences in the work I do professionally. I talk to them about this idea of shifting their developmental philosophy to a strengths-based approach. And I use my kids as examples. And so again and again, I heard, you should write something down about those kids and your journey. Because as much as we like this for the workplace, we think it would really have an impact in the home. So my wife and I, we were bored with 7 kids looking for a hobby, decided to write a book, and here we are.
Well, with 7 kids, you already had a hobby, so we got to move along with that. Hey, no, seriously though, 7 children, that means that you have 7 different personalities, which really is very familiar with a business environment. You have different personalities, you have different expectations, you have different goals that individuals want. So you took that professionalism and put it into the parents, or vice versa?
It actually started on the professional side, began to use that strengths approach in a leadership role in an organization I was serving in, and thought to myself, I'm having really good success managing this way. Maybe I should bring this home with my 3 kids that were emerging into their teen years. And we were finding that we were forming some disconnect, as some parents do when your kids cross into that junior high, adolescent stage. And so bringing this home really at first was, we were desperate. We needed help. What we were doing as parents was not working. And this was a way that we could begin to change the conversation and the narrative with our kids.
Well, and that's really interesting, because what you're talking about here is actually building up your confidence to be a good parent and to enjoy the whole family life. I mean, you're right. It's a struggle. It's a struggle to feed them and clothe them and keep them educated and make them do their homework and all those kinds of things. So is that why you created a guide with this book as well?
Yeah, it is. Because what we found as we began to talk to parents is that many of us had secret fears. We didn't want to be found out. Some call that imposter syndrome. We didn't want to be found out for not having what it took and feeling some days like, well, I'm pretty much just faking it till I make it, and I hope these kids don't figure that out. And so what we learned is that if we could give parents something practical and tangible to increase their confidence, give them room to express their strengths in a way that could impact their kids and impact them, we believe the whole family environment would be positively impacted because we lived it. It was our own experience. This isn't something that we read in a book one day and decided to throw into another book. We really lived this and saw the change. And as we watched it in others, we thought this could really be a game changer for many households.
Yeah, no kidding. So, as a parent, I remember when my children were born, there was no manual that came out with them. Yeah, it was the kid and that was it.
Don't you wish there was, though, right? Don't you wish there was?
I do and I don't. I do because it would be easier if you had a guideline for that specific child, but you can't because you don't know how they're going to grow. So
Right.
This is where your guideline really seems to be very, very powerful because it applies to any child.
That's right. So we in our teenage years with our kids, when they were in their teenage years, what we learned is that if we could pinpoint what it was that made our kids feel strong, what it was that really lit their eyes up, then we as mom and dad could equally find that for us. What was it that did that? And the convergence of the two led to harmonious conversations, opening of doors, places where we could offer insight and influence that has, to this day now, with 3 adult kids. So the experiment has played out. We now have 3 of our children who are married. They have their own kids. We're watching them now engage with their young families and seeing the reality of this approach carrying on to the next generation.
What's interesting though is it's not an argumentative approach.
No.
It is like a wise, it's like a wise approach is how I looked at it when I went through the book. I'm like, you know, this is smart parenting. It's not only incredible, but it's smart parenting.
Yeah. I find for many that it's freeing. It frees you up. It frees you up to be who you were meant to be. You're not trying to compare yourself to that Instagram parent who looks flawless, like they have everything together. I always say, I want to see the 2 minutes before and the 2 minutes after that photo shoot. Don't show me the photo shoot. That's synthetic. But unfortunately, we get caught in this bubble and we think we got to be like them. And then when we get good parenting advice, which worked for whoever that was, we try to apply it only to realize, geez, I'm frustrated. It's not working. And so the goal of just giving parents permission to be authentic, to be genuine to who you are, because trust me, your kids, they're looking for that person. They're looking for that real authentic self. And the good news is you can become a better version of that parent.
I mean, that's amazing because, you know, as kids grow, I recall that, you know, they push the boundaries, right? A little up, a little over, a little, you know, that's just part of growing. Where's my framework? Where can I be comfortable? And parents get frustrated with that. But your guide, I mean, it really is an eye opener.
You know, with the insights we've been hearing from parents, for some, what they would comment is that now they know. Now they know. Now I know where I come from. I know that I'm the parent who operates this way. And this is the fun part in partnership. So my wife and I are very different in our parenting style. And for many years, we would find ourselves at odds. We were so contrarian that it led to conflict. And when we could take a page from our own learning and go, you know, I now see that our differences are an advantage, and I can respect where you're coming from and your role in the house, and now you can respect mine. And it literally solved the 15-year argument of just how we taught the kids, how we trained the kids, how we engaged with them. And we both learned to give each other space. Oh. Go ahead and be you, I'll be me, and let's give each other space to become those people we were supposed to be, to come back together, be more effective in our roles.
I mean, that's a really interesting perspective, because the other thing you're doing is you're freeing people to be themselves, including your children.
That's right.
Because they are different. They're not cookie cutters, they're children.
Yeah.
So your adult children, do they parrot back to you now?
Oh, sure. All the time. You know, they have opinions about how the other 4, their younger siblings, should be raised. So we have 3 out of the house and 4 still at home. There's an 8-year space between number 3 and number 4. And so as a result, we hear about it. But the fun part is now they have kids. So we get to be advised and be consulted, if you will. Hey, what would you do here, Mom? How would you handle this, Dad? Which is just so rewarding. So rewarding to get to be in that space and hear their heart to be great parents and have that tool to say, here's how you're going to be the best parent you can be. You can't be like us. You can't be like them. Let's figure out who you are and be that parent.
So when did you decide to actually put this book together? I mean, I know you did the speaking about it, and I know that you kind of helped guide people in different ways, but when did you just say, okay, we've got to put the book together?
Probably around 2017. 2017, we got to the point where I'd heard it enough. I'd been squirreling away different stories and different points and research and connected with some of the right people to help us build out the assessment found in this book for parents to find their strengths and realize that here we go. We're on the path. We wrote a book previous to this one, gave us a little insight into, our story. And then this one just burst off in 2020 with, all right, here's the practical tools that we want to give to all parents everywhere.
And that's perfect, Brandon. And I think it's a perfect pause too. We're going to listen to our sponsors. I want to come back and want to talk about what kind of parents we really need to focus on with this book. So please come back.
Marianne Fairmouth is a career consultant with 30 years experience in the national recruiting world, a multi-award-winning author in multi-genres, and a speaker that gives presentations to help you succeed. Her book, Revolutionary Recruiting, made the top 20 global list of recruiting books. Find her on Amazon, your favorite bookstore, or at fairmont.com.
Hello, I am the author Denise Bryson. My first book is The Things That Cross My Mind, Inspirational Poetry with Life Lessons. And then my audiobook is Love's Reality. And it is also inspirational poetry with a jazzy flair. And then my new book is The Sex, the Lies, and the Soul Ties. They're really short stories written from a poetic expression. And then I have my first children book series, the Blinky series, which the first book is called Meet the Coins, and it is both in English and Spanish. And then the new book, From Coins to Bills. I am the author, Denise Bryson.
To embrace your children's imagination, check out Diane Floyd Bame's books for kids. There's The Moonling Adventures, all about the animals in the Serengeti. And then there's Harry the Camel, learning to love yourself just the way you are. Then The Little Girl in the Moon. There's one about friendship, another one about the big ideas, which is an inspirational story, and then Tour Tycho Town, right there in Tycho Crater on the moon. All of Diane Floyd Bame's books are available at B4R Store.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Rox Burkey on today's show.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio, and I'm here with Brandon Miller. I'm Rox Burkey, and I really want to continue on this discussion, Brandon, around the incredible parents, because parents, especially these days, take on different forms than the necessarily biological parents, don't they?
Sure, absolutely. I think these days we have a lot that comes under that term parent.
Okay.
You know, the foster relationships and the adoptions would be two very practical ones, but the guardianships and the caregivers and the teachers and coaches, so much falls under that sacred relationship that one accepts to nurture, develop, and grow a child.
I mean, that's very special. So the guidelines that you provide in the whole a workbook, for lack of a better term, I'm sure that's not your intention, but that's kind of how I view it. I mean, a grandparent could find value, especially with the diverse experiences now between youngsters and grandparents because of technology. There's a gap in how to deal with that.
Absolutely. So my parents are very involved with their grandkids. They have 24 of them.
Oh.
And every Tuesday night, they invite all 24 to come over for Nana Papa night, spend the night, eat pizza, watch a movie. Some of them spend the night, and then they do the big carpool. And what my parents, who have been a major influence in my adult kids and my brother's adult kids, sisters, they really have leveraged some of this information to say, all right, I want to know how I am as a grandparent, and I want to know how to understand each of my very unique grandchildren. And they modeled so well just the uniqueness and the individualized approach that now my wife and I, with 4 grandchildren going on 6 here in a few months, we're taking a page from that and getting to be a part of that opportunity and experience ourselves.
I mean, that's just remarkable as can be. So, you know, with your brothers and sisters, and I guess maybe Ann Lynn's brothers and sisters, how do they view you putting this book together?
You know, they're so supportive, so engaged with us. They wanted to hear, you know, where we were coming from, because the way that we presented ourselves, we didn't purport ourselves as the experts that we were going to talk down to people, like do as we did. What we offered was, listen, we have a story and we have a journey that we took. And what we discovered is that when we learned who our kids were and took time to learn who ourselves were, we were far more effective. And so as much as I value conferences and great speakers and podcasts and all the different places where you can learn about parenting, really what we offer is it's right there inside of you. It's already there. Let's figure out who you are and what that is and pull it out. And so our siblings and family members thought, this is awesome. This is something that we can use. My brother and sister-in-law, in fact, they have a church group that they teach families, and they took a lot of our instruction and brought it right in to help a lot of the families in their church that they worked with and parents that they were a part of.
Now, to a degree, I mean, is this like faith-based to a degree?
Well, I would say this, our first book we wrote definitely was our story, and Annalyn and I are Christians and have a very deep and abiding faith. The second book we wrote, it isn't overtly faith-based, but you could certainly read in there our values and who we are, what comes through. So we wrote it intended for a broad audience. So it's used in schools and businesses and government, places that people can really grab a hold and use the concepts where they're at.
So in going through this book, I would suspect you want it to keep on your shelf and go through it as a parent, and then maybe revisit it again when you become a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle, because those are still caregivers and nurturers that are a part of the young person's life. So, you might complete the guideline, 10 years ago and do it again and go, I kind of changed a little, I've learned more, or I perceive that differently.
Yeah.
Does the guide help do that?
Absolutely, because the book steers you to a website with a 10-minute assessment that gives you back your most intense or powerful core parenting strengths. And we as people change and grow and develop. And so some of those strengths will be enduring over time. They will the ones around the periphery will move. And so it is, especially with the stages of our kids, it's very different raising your toddlers and your young school age than when you're in teenage years. Very different life, very different reality to when they're adult kids. And so just to know how you shape and you change. So even the same strength that one might have. So I'm a trainer. As a trainer, it's very intensive with my younger ones, very different with my adult ones. How I engage them, how I instruct them. It's always going to be a part of who I am, but it has variance in how I engage with my kids at different stages and ages.
I remember a commencement address years ago, and the speaker came up, and when my kids started into college, I was the stupidest person on the planet. When they graduated college, they realized I had grown a brain after 4 years. So everyone changes. So this is incredible. How long did it take you? It took you 5 years to put this book together, 4 years, something like that?
Yeah, the between the book and the assessment, I'll tell you the assessment part. We have a good friend. He's a PhD in psychology, came alongside, called him one day, and I said, hey, I need your letters. He and I had met around this idea of strengths-based development. We're both a part of a global movement, really wanting to influence change in the home and the school and in the workplace, to focus more on what's right with people than what's wrong. So he came along, he lent that expertise, and he's today a big part of this movement. We call it Incredible Family, and he's our chief science guy. And so with that help, that's what took the time, is building something that we could be really proud of, and parents can get very accurate and actionable results that they can do something with.
And that's really important. So the focus for this book, the target market, has nothing to do with a social economic, has nothing to do with, how you parent, whether you're a single parent or you're a two-person parent, or, whether you're one ethnicity or one religion or one, it really is very, very broad in how it approaches parenting.
That's right.
So, that's very special. It's very, very different. So, you released this book in 2020.
That's right.
In the height of one of the worst pandemics on the planet, obviously, and certainly in my lifetime. Do you think that because of that, this has extra value? Because I think children are struggling, especially those that were kept home for so long. Will this help kind of bridge some of that?
Absolutely. So I live in a place where our children were home from March of last year until June of this year, and they will be going back in the fall. So we had over a year of new housemates every day, all day. So you can imagine the internet bandwidth you need with 4 kids trying to do online school, with 2 parents trying to do online work, and we threw in a college student to help with some of the tutoring of the kids. And yes, I don't think we've ever lived in a time where parenting was pushed up to the front as such an important need. We know that 1 in 6 children today are suffering a mental health crisis, and parents are right along with them, lifting their hands up going, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to look. And so what we start with is the subtle message of, let's start looking at you. Let's help you to gain confidence. Let's help you to grow in compassion. Let's help you to feel like you have what it takes to guide these kids, and then turn around and help them. It's kind of like on the airplane, Rox, when the oxygen mask falls, put yours on first, and then help the little one next to you. And that's what this book really seeks to do.
And so that's part of what's so remarkable about you releasing this at this point in time, because it will arm parents who are struggling with children that faced an incredible way to change how they learn and how they are educated. So I think you need to kind of emphasize that. So what I want to do is I want to take another break, Brandon, and hear from our sponsors. I want to come back and I want to talk about some of the special things that you and Ann Lynn do to reach out to the community. Can you stick around?
Sure can.
Great.
Publishing marketing package for authors. $1,500 value, save 40% now. Includes a 6-piece marketing kit of 250 bookmarks, 250 business cards, 250 postcards, 1 table banner, 1 table runner, and 50 download cards, plus book cover design, ebook creation, PDF setups, upload to Ingram Spark, scroll placement, video commercial, and radio on IBS. Plus much more. Email bourgeoismedia@look.com for details or bourgeoismedia.com.
Hi, I'm Mel Greenberg, author of Running with Our Eyes Closed, book 1 in the Empty Nested series. To the world, Samantha has the perfect life. 3 wonderful children, a loving husband, so she thought, and a life split between Dallas and Italy. When her youngest leaves for college, it all comes crashing down, forcing Samantha to re-examine everything. Over 7 days in one of the most romantic countries in the world, Samantha faces the past she thought she'd overcome and begins to redefine her role as a woman, a wife, and a mother.
What would you do if you had to put your life on hold to care for a loved one? Well, during COVID, almost all of us have been doing just that. I'm Charlotte Canyon, award-winning author, actress, and speaker. And my book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, shows you how you can revive, thrive, and survive with 4 golden rules. You have to love one another. You have to respect one another. You have to have patience with one another. And most of all, you've got to forgive one another. I'm Charlotte Canyon, and I approve this message.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Rox Burkey on today's show.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. I'm Rox Burkey, and I'm here with Brandon Miller, co-author of Incredible Parents. I mean, this has been such a great conversation, Brandon. I appreciate you being here. But I want to know about some of your speaking and how that dovetails with your book. Can you kind of enlighten everyone, please?
Absolutely. So my wife and I enjoy the opportunity to influence and speak to parents as many times as occasion allows. We've been brought on to major broadcasts to do some interviews, and we've been brought into conferences and even just small groups of parents that want to gather and just ask questions about school life and kid life and parent life and extracurricular. So yes, we're available. Obviously, the last year we did a lot of Zoom. We did a lot of Zoom, but getting nearer to the time where we can be back in person, and sure love to do that.
So how can people reach out and find you, Brandon, for some of these engagements, or to find out where you're going to be? Because I know you're in California, right?
That's right. So AnnaLynnBrandon.com, and my wife's name is spelled ANALYN, and Brandon was with an ON, BRANDON. AnnaLynnBrandon.com. That's where we keep all of our resources and contact pages, and we're happy to be either a resource with questions or referrals, or certainly we can come out and speak to a group if it's so requested.
And if we're able to do that, that's awesome. So, that brings up a good point. Some authors that allow people to contact them don't reply. So what's your response time seem to be on your website?
Almost immediate. So that's one of my strengths. Yeah. Is I'm one of those folks that I don't like to let things sit too long. So if you reach out, we'll get right back to you. either with a referral or, and if it's a question we need to refer to one of our team members, we'll do that, but someone gets right back to you with any request that comes in.
As you go forward with this, are you going to involve your adult parent children in some of your speaking engagements?
Yes, absolutely. So our daughter Sierra, she's our third. She's actually gone on some engagements with us, and she's the one that gets up there and she tells the real deal. She gives the real story. And now that she's got a little one that just turned 1. In fact, I'm going to a birthday party today for my little granddaughter. No. And then she's got another one on the way. So she's about to be in the full throes of two baby life. And so she'll come out and do some speaking. She's fantastic. And it's so wonderful to hear from not only someone who lived through this philosophy, but now she's applying it herself. And so, yes, we do bring them out and, sneak peek. There's some books coming out in the future of what it's like to be with those adult kids and young parents.
So where is Incredible Parent available for those listeners that really, really want to get a copy?
So you can start it. Yeah, you can start at AnnaLynneBrandon.com, and then almost any online retailer you can think of carries that book, Incredible Parent by Anna Lynn and Brandon Miller. So you can find it on the site, or you can go to your favorite online retailer and probably find it there.
Now, I know that you also have a pretty robust social media presence, Brandon. So where can people find you that happen to be, addicted to social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So Anna Lynn Miller is who you'd find in most places. My wife is prolific online. So she's great on Facebook and Instagram. So we have an Anna Lynn Brandon Facebook page, but you could find Anna Lynn Miller just about anywhere you look, especially Anna Lynn Miller in Sacramento, California. She'll come up and you'll see a lot of her work around parenting, but you'll also see what she does when she goes shopping or on a trip or, with the kids. Because she's good at it. She's good at that social media.
Nice. And then one last question I think that I'd like to pose to you is, what is your favorite part about putting this book together with Anna Lynn?
Oh my gosh. I think for us, we have never been closer as friends, as parents, as partners, and lovers. Like, I think having to go away with your wife to do writing retreats in hotel rooms was one of the best things. I can't wait for the next book for just that reason.
Awesome. Brandon, I really enjoyed this conversation. I look forward to your next book. People, go to the website, take a look at AnnaLynnBrandon.com and their books. And Brandon, thank you. I appreciate you. You have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching or listening to the Indie Beacon Show, produced by Beyond Bourgeois for the Authors Marketing International LLC. Copyright 2021. Voiceover by Beyond Bourgeois. If you would like to be a sponsor of the show, please email us at authorsmarketing@outlook.com. If you would like to be on the show, please complete the form found on our website at indiebeacon.com. You may also watch previous year's shows on the website. Music is Frolic of Words, created for Indie Beacon